Hi, it's Dorothy Guining with Scrapbooking Quebec. I am so thrilled to be here today as part of the Mercy Tiara's 27-day challenge inspiration YouTube hop. I'm going to show you my take on one of the sketches that's part of the 2019 Winter Challenge on that Facebook group. Now, I'll put the link to that group below, and links to all the other YouTubers who are participating in this YouTube hop will be listed below as well. Now, this is a sketch that I'll be doing today, and if you are at all intimidated by layered sketches, fear not, because I'm going to give you step-by-step instructions and the measurements will be written on the screen. This is what I'm going to be using, and most of it comes from the January 2019 Hip Kit. Now, what you're going to need is a foundation page, 3 papers, some decorations, and something to create a title. You'll also need photos, of course. Now, my foundation page is layered with 3 pieces of paper, and I put the measurements for that on the screen. But what you really need is a 12 by 12 piece of paper. You'll also need to make a mini foundation, and those are those 3 pieces of papers you see on the screen now. There's that large square as well as 2 strips of paper, and I'm transforming one of them into a banner. I'm following the sketch quite closely at this point. So I'm going to adhere these 3 page parts to the main foundation page, and I'm putting measurements for what I'm using on the screen. Now, there are no measurements on the sketch, so this is my interpretation. And if you do not have paper to match my measurements, don't worry about it. Make this sketch work for you. Sketches are always just a jumping off point. So now I'm trimming these strips of paper. All measurements are on the screen, and I'm going to make a crisscross towards the top of the page, and it's on that crisscross where it joins where I will be placing the focal point photo. Now, you're going to notice in a minute that my photos are double matted. Again, you don't have to double mat your photos. What I'm putting on the screen is what I'm doing, but you can use 1 mat, 2 mats, or no mats. It's up to you. Also, I'm using 3 photos. I'm interpreting those 3 blocks as 3 photos. And there is this small rectangle above the small photo on the right. You'll see that in a minute. That's where I will be putting my journaling. However, if you have a lot of journaling, you may want to consider exchanging one of those photos for a journaling box. And that rectangle above the right photo, you could always put the date or something like that there. I'm adhering these photos to the page, but I'm not putting too much glue on at this point because I will be moving them around a bit later, mostly to accommodate my title. So I often don't put much glue on my photos at this point, or page parts, simply because I haven't decorated yet, and I'm going to want a certain amount of flexibility when it comes to adding my embellishment clusters. Now, what I'm pointing out is the title and the text box. So I cut my title out in advance with the Big Shot, and I also did my journaling in advance and cut it out in that rectangle. So I'm not going to glue those parts to the page quite yet. I am going to start building my embellishment clusters, and once I know where I'm going to be placing that stuff, then I'll place the title and text box as well permanently. Now, in a minute, I'm going to show you the decorations that I made in advance, and the decorations that came with this particular hip kit. What was left for me wasn't particularly wintry, and this is a very wintry page, so I went into my tool stash and I found some tools for snowflakes. I have made doilies, I made some branches, and I did all that in advance, and I can list those tools in the comments below as well. So I'm going to speed the video up here quite considerably because it took me about 20 minutes to build these 2 main embellishment clusters. On the sketch, there are 2 main embellishment clusters. One is above that focal point photo, and one is in and around that photo on the right. And basically what I did is I'm starting with the larger pieces, the doilies, then the circles, and then I gradually start adhering the smaller pieces, which is the branches as well as the snowflakes. You'll also notice, if you can follow my fast hands there, I end up moving them around a bit because at one point it just didn't look right to me. That's another piece of advice I can give to you. There's no hard and fast recipe for building embellishment clusters. Basically, what's important is that you like it. It's kind of like walking into a clothing store and you either like something or you don't, or you walk into a room and you like the decor or you don't. It's the same thing for embellishment clusters. You really have to trust your gut feeling. Like at one point, the embellishment cluster on the right felt way too spread out for me. I can't tell you why, it just did. So I bunched them up a little bit more. So trust your gut feeling on this. Now I'm ready to adhere the title and the text box because I've got my decorations down. And what I'm going to do, I try to fit in this little fluffy pom-pom there that came in the kit, but I ended up not using it. But I'm finishing off, which I often do, with some enamel dots. These are by Chamel and they did come in the kit. And I'm just simply creating a little visual triangle around the page with this. Then I'm going to have a look at my page and I decide that there's not enough contrast with this white snowflake paper on the white foundation page. So what I'm doing here on 3 spots on the page, on one end of each of those strips of paper, as well as the bottom right hand corner, I'm adding some faux stitching. So what I'm using is a template by Stampin' Up!, a paper piercing tool, and I'm joining the holes together with a pen. Whether it's faux stitching or real stitching, I find it's a great way to add a little bit of contrast without adding a huge amount of visual weight. I didn't want to add a huge amount of visual weight here because I've got 3 different pattern papers going on and a fair amount of layered decorations. What I'm showing you here are the main page parts on this sketch and how I followed it, but I'm also going to show you a second page where I turned this sketch 90 degrees, and there you go. You notice the photo is vertical, the focal point photo, and not horizontal, and the banner is horizontal and not vertical. So it's the same sketch, but it's a different page and a complete different look. So don't forget your sketches. You can turn them around. You can do whatever you want with them. They are starting points. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to check out all the other YouTubers. There's a whole lot of inspiration out there today. Have a great day, and I hope you participate in the challenge at Mercy Tiara's 27-Day Challenge Facebook group. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.